And he has a great confidence, even in arrogance. But sometimes he gets a little irresponsible, drops those hands, jumps in from a little too far away, gets reckless. But guess what? Even when he does that, it equates into excitement for the fans. And that man right there, as he laces on his shoes, he better be ready for that real surge of ability that's going to come at him. It's going to be like a blitzkrieg. And maybe that's why he's tying those shoes right there, because he's going to have to be able to get out of range of that great speed.
Well, interesting story, of course, with Gamboa. When he fled for freedom from Cuba, he did so with a couple of teammates. One of them was the heavyweight, old Lanier Solis, and now he makes his U.S. debut. He's going up against 6'6" Kevin Burnett in our co-feature.
Joe, you know, while we will wait for the 4 months, some of the great boxing fans would come up to me and they would ask different questions. And one of the questions they would say to me over and over is, Teddy, who's the next heavyweight? That's all they would say. Who's the next heavyweight? Guess what? This might be the guy to fit into those holes. And there's a lot of holes in that heavyweight division. This is an experienced guy that won the gold medal in 2004. Somebody to take a look at.
Hey, we're going to get right to fight action. Another unbeaten Cuban star, junior middleweight Arislandi Lara, set to impress. But first, two guys that always impress. Our studio host, Brian Kenny, and our new ESPN boxing analyst, Bernard Hopkins. Gentlemen.
Joe, Teddy, thank you so much. Yes, indeed, he spent most of his career hearing and still. But now he is the new ESPN boxing analyst. Bernard Hopkins will be periodically joining us throughout the year here on Friday Night Fights, and it's a pleasure to welcome him aboard. Welcome, Bernard.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course, former longtime middleweight champion of the world, former light heavyweight champion of the world, and actually, his last fight, he basically shut out the middleweight champ. So last time we saw you, you look like you're in pretty good shape. Is there more Bernard in the ring? What's going to happen from here?
Yes, I think I still have a fight or two in me, and I've been in great shape over the years, and I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to do something this year real shocking. The top last year.
Good. Well, I hope so. I don't know what you can do more than that, but we're going to talk about that. What is next for Bernard Hopkins throughout the night here? And also, Bernard going to be, again, doing a lot of analysis on a lot of big fights that are going to be starting up this year. So we'll talk about Bernard Hopkins, his future, the light heavyweight division, who could be next. Also, first big fight of 2009, Antonio Margarito against Sugar Shane Mosley, a 3-division world champion. That's 2 weeks from now. And then Juan Manuel Marquez versus Juan Diaz. Bernard will weigh in on that possible war as well. So we open up here on Friday Night Fights. We go back to Las Vegas and get right to live action. Joe.
We start the night with 4 rounds, junior middleweights. Rodrigo Aguiar, he is in the black and white trunks, and Arislandi Lara, he is in the blue trunks. And Lara left Cuba for Germany in 2007. He's been stateside for just a couple of months, over 300 amateur wins. Now 2-0 as a pro. His first 2 fights were in Europe. And what a big ovation he had when he entered the arena here, as so many Cuban fight fans have come here to Prim, Nevada, with Gamboa and Solis also on the card. And now they get a taste of Arislandi Lara, a well-accomplished amateur, against Aguiar, who's 5-3 with 3 knockouts, a late start to his career. Only 1 amateur fight. He didn't turn pro until he was 28, Teddy.
Well, Lara is southpaw. So Aguiar not only has to deal with a very experienced amateur in Lara, but he has to deal with a left-hander.
And look at the work he's doing early on with that left hand here.
You know, you look at the experience, and right away you say Aguiar has more experience, yes, in the pros than Lara, but Lara much more experience in reality in the amateurs. And that experience in the amateurs for Lara more than will make up for what he lacks in the pros.
Lara off to a strong start. Joe and Teddy with you ringside. Lara already landing 15 punches in the opening minute of this fight.
And you already see some decent fundamentals from Lara. Even though he has good speed, good physical ability with the hands, getting them off nice and quick, putting them together, but he pays attention to going downstairs to the body of Aguiar.
Just landed 2 body punches on that last exchange. Now he comes in behind that right jab, and the straight left does the Cuban southpaw. And there it is again, 4-punch combination. And now some body work from Rodrigo Aguiar.
Well, Lara does give you opportunities to get off. Every once in a while, he'll put those earmuffs on, stand stationary a little bit, keep those feet kind of wide where he can't move. And that gives Aguiar opportunity to score a little bit. And there's that opportunity right now, as I said, Lara puts those earmuffs on.
Just covering up here for the last few seconds as Aguiar trying to dig to the body, and now a little return fire with the left uppercut from Lara. The 25-year-old, great amateur career for the Cuban team. He was a 2005 amateur world champion. Digs in with a left uppercut to the body again.
So far, the only thing that Aguiar does is he'll cover up pretty well, and he looks to walk in that front door. Lara's doing a good job of keeping him from really getting in that front door, nailing him as he tries to come forward.
A lot of offense in the opening round, and a knockdown in the opening round of Friday Night Fights 2009 season. And that's it. Referee Joe Cortez waves it off. Arislandi Lara with the TKO win.
Well, Aguiar was trying to get in that front door. He goes out the side door.
The start of what could be a big night for all the Cuban representatives. And you can see as they tend to Rodrigo Aguiar. He had been stopped one time before. It was last March to Maxim Vlasov. That was in the 5th round in a fight back in Connecticut. But here, he could not escape the final moments of the 1st round against the well-skilled Lara.
And again, you could see Lara keeps it very simple. He takes what's given for him and given to him as a man stands right in front of him. And that time, he used the jab to set up that power punch for the southpaw, which Lara is. The back punch, the punch that he could turn into. Watch again, the jab blinds him, and the left hand from the southpaw is right behind it. Aguiar never saw that punch coming, and when you don't have time to see it coming, time to register it, it has great effect on you.
And what a road it has been for Arislandi Lara. Back in 2007, he defected from Cuba to Brazil. He was then caught by authorities, returned to Cuba. He was banned from boxing, and then escaped the country again on a speedboat over to Mexico, made his way to Germany, and now here his U.S. debut, and he shines bright in Nevada. 25 years old, now 3-0 with 2 knockouts. Arislandi Lara, the southpaw, coming out strong to start off the new year of Friday Night Fights. The 1st round TKO victory over Rodrigo Aguiar. Let's send it back to the studio to BK and Bernard Hopkins. Strip in Vegas. We are about 37 miles south in Primm. And it is a night when the Cubans are looking to shine. In moments we will see Odlanir Solis, the heavyweight gold medalist from the Olympic Games, now making his U.S. debut. Just moments ago, we saw the U.S. debut of fellow countryman Arislandi Lara, Teddy, taking on Rodrigo Aguiar.
And you can see the quick hands of Lara. Also, you see the good ring generalship, controlling the ring a little bit, and right there you see he uses that right hand jab from a southpaw stance to blind his opponent and set up that power punch. The left hand right down the pipe that put the lights out for Aguiar.
The Cuban fans showing their pride and enthusiasm tonight. Our first heavyweight fight of the year includes an unbeaten who is hoping that this year he can steadily move forward up the rankings. The 04 Olympic gold medalist, Olanir Solis, facing the upset-minded Kevin Burnett. And Burnett, a 26-year-old Augusta, Georgia native. He now lives and trains in Miami. He has a clear advantage in this fight. He's tall. He's 6'6". He weighs 268 pounds. And as for that weight, heaviest he's been in a few years. He was as low as 248. He was as high way back when at 297. Now, Burnett was involved in perhaps one of the most memorable moments on Friday Night Fights. It was last June in Vegas, and he was dominating Horace Grant. Fight was in complete control with just seconds remaining, and then he got clocked right on the final bell. Fight was over, but yet he had to get up, rise to his feet, and beat the count. It was like a scene out of Rocky. So he holds on to win, but check out the reaction in the corner from trainer Pat Burns. We spot shadow him here. Boy, they couldn't believe what they saw. Picking up the stool, a little upset, and here's Kevin.
Yeah, when I got hit, when I went down, I was like, oh my God, I got to get up. Only thing I could hear is somebody saying, get up, get up. And I know who that was. And I knew I had another fight after that fight that night. So my coach got on me big with that. So, you know, and I was in good condition. I wouldn't have got up if I was in good condition like that. So, you know, I got the heart, but, you know, you got to have a condition too to go with the heart.
Well, tonight he better have a lot because he's up against 12-0 Olanir Solis. Could he be the answer to break up that Russian domination in the heavyweight ranks? He is 28 years old, just over 6'1", comes in at a thick 259.5. 8 knockouts among the 12 wins, and the amateur resume is very impressive. The gold in 04, 3 times a world amateur champ. So Teddy Atlas has the Just for Men hair color stay in the fight analysis.
Well, let's start with that man right there, Solis. He's taller and will look to use the jab to keep you on the outside and you being Burnett. Take his jab away with counter right hands. And for Burnett, well, since you are taller, don't give him the distance to throw those right hands. Stay at range and use jab to set up your own right hand.
Solis, 28 years old, a few years ago, he found his freedom from Cuba with Yuriorkis Gamboa, who we will see in our main event. Made his way to Germany from South America, 12-0, and many feel this could be the start of something big stateside. He has fought in Germany, Turkey, and Italy, and now his first fight in the US of A. Here in Prim, as the Cuba chant goes up.
He doesn't speak English, so we're going to keep it quiet. You ready? Interpret. Listo. Buena suerte. Good luck. Good luck.
Jay Nady, veteran referee, the third man inside the ring. Well, Solis told us that we're going to see a totally different fighter than the style that he was accustomed to as an amateur. There was recent criticism of him that he hasn't shown as much urgency as he should in recent efforts. We will see what we get out of him here tonight.
Joe, Burnett took this fight on only 1.5 weeks' notice, and he's coming in off 6.5 months of inactivity. And he's 8 pounds heavier, Burnett is, than his last fight. So that tells me he did not have full preparation, obviously, for this fight.
Made the comment to us yesterday that when you're on your way up, when you're trying to break into that upper echelon, you have to be ready to go. And we'll see just how ready he is on the short notice.
Well, what he better be ready for, Burnett being who I'm speaking about, he better be ready to stay on the outside and use that jab at the right range. If he throws it from too close, he'll get countered with right hands. And that's why he got caught in that last fight, the fight that we showed the tape on, that extraordinary moment where he showed the courage to get up. He was throwing that jab from too close, standing straight, and right there you could see an opening for the right hand of Solis. You're the taller man. you better not fight in close. And right now, Burnett fighting in close.
The gold medalist finding gold on the inside there. Good combination, and then he just went after it. Now back to the jab, and that safer range for Burnett. Now he goes with a combination of his own scoring with the uppercut in the midst there.
Well, we already know that Burnett has heart. He has courage. He showed that in getting off the floor in that fight against Horace Grant. But he has to show smarts now and use his height on the outside. He's too close right now.
Got caught again.
I think all night long you're going to see Solis look for that right hand over that jab of Burnett. There's two ways to take away a man's jab, Joe. And if you're Solis, you're probably thinking, I got a tall guy in front of me, I want to take his jab away. One is use your own jab. And the other is what we've seen, throwing right hands over the bigger man's jab. Discourage him a little.
Over 4-inch height advantage for Burnett. But that commitment to that jab has already created opportunities for Solis. Punch track numbers you see early on as Solis on the jabs, he's landed 5 of 7. You see the commitment to the jab by Burnett. He knows that he has to keep that up, but he needs to be effective with it. Trying to control these closing moments with that big walking stick is Burnett. Coming to the end of round number 1 of our heavyweights in the co-feature.
I'm fast. That's why I use the BlackBerry Bold with AT&T 3G speed. I can surf the internet fast, download attachments fast, and send them to my colleagues fast. Excuse me for a sec. It's good to be fast.
Only AT&T has the new BlackBerry Bold. The fastest BlackBerry ever. Only on the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T.
Brian Kenny here in the studio, Sports Center right now. Cavs lead the Celtics by 3 in the third quarter. You can see that on ESPN, the big Eastern Conference showdown. LeBron and the Cavs, by the way, 18-0 at home this year. Two-time Biletnikoff Award winner Michael Crabtree will turn pro. His father confirmed that today. Texas Tech wide receiver figures to be a first-round pick. Let's go back to Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas in Las Vegas.
Thanks, BK. Big NBA showdown of heavyweight teams there. Cavs and Celtics, and we got a heavyweight showdown here in our co-feature with the Olympic gold medalist in action, making his U.S. debut. That is Ovlenir Solis in the blue trunks, taking on 13-1-1, 6'6", American heavyweight Kevin Burnett. Glad you're with us here on the season debut of Friday Night Fights. I'm Joe Tessitore, ringside with Teddy Atlas, Brian Kenny, and Bernard Hopkins, the new ESPN boxing analyst, in studio tonight. Still to come, one of the great power-punching sensations to enter the sport, Yuriorkis Gamboa, in the main event against Roger Gonzalez. Teddy, I got to ask you this. In between rounds 1 and 2, we were listening in to Pat Burns, the trainer of Kevin Burnett, and he gave his fighter a little bit of a pop quiz. He said, what do you do? How do you stop a guy from countering a jab? But what is the answer for Kevin Burnett?
Making sure that you do not throw your jab. If you're the man who's the jabber, as Burnett wants to be, do not throw that jab from too close. Again, I'll go back to the videotape. The Horace Grant fight, we saw it when Burnett got off the floor the last couple of seconds of the last round when he got caught the right hand. He was throwing that jab from too close. Hopefully, Pat Burns, his good trainer, has learned from that and has gotten that lesson through to Burnett. It's great to have a jab and great to be tall, but you better throw it from the right range. You throw it from outside far enough away, you'll be effective. If you don't, you'll get counted. And I'm sure Bernard Hopkins, the terrific former middleweight champion of the world, would also tell you there's other ways to keep someone from countering you. You can double your jab up. But if you're a taller guy, you kind of defeat the purpose. You're taking that height away from yourself. But if you're a little shorter, you double the jab up and you keep the other man's right hand in his pocket, like the old timers would say. You don't give him room to throw it.
Stop! And there is Pat Burns, the trainer of Kevin Burnett. He also currently trains John Duddy, very popular Irish fighter who we've seen on our air before.
You know, Joe, I mentioned in the last round that Burnett came in 8 pounds heavier than his last fight. You wonder if he's in top condition or not, and he has an excuse for it. He took the fight on 1.5 weeks' notice. Solis, no excuse. He's the heaviest weight of his career, 6.5 pounds more than his last fight. So you wonder about the condition also of the man who had full time to prepare for this bout, the undefeated fighter Solis.
Solis comes in at 259.5. Teddy, give me a range that you'd like to see Solis at. If you look at his frame, he's a little over 6'1". What's the weight you want to see him at?
We'll talk about that after this round.
Some time to think about it, coming to the end of 2.
Tournament poker is about patience, stamina, and mental focus. Until eventually, your head's up, and there's just one more opponent left to beat. Are you ready for tournament poker? Learn poker for free at the world's largest poker site.
You can double up on the jab, right? Bring
Pat
the right hand
Burns
so he
giving
doesn't
some instructions to his charge. Kevin Burnett trying to get the upset tonight against Solis. He knows he has to commit to that jab. That was the strategy going in.
He's just looking for overhand right.
Just like last fight, jab, jab, jab. Put the jab in his face all night. You know, when he get close, time up. Use my angles when I have to. But tonight is about the jab, so that's all I'm worrying about is the jab. So jab and defense. Defense win fights. Jab and defense win fights.
Well, right now, Kevin Burnett is 16 of 86 on his jabs. Pat Burns said when he returned to the corner after the second round, he said, hey, I think we've lost those first 2 rounds, but you're doing some good things. You're making him fight. He's in a fight. He came here thinking he was going to get rid of you. That is not the case.
You know, you asked me a question at the end of the last round about what weight I would like to see Solis at. Well, first of all, not at the weight that he's at. How's that for a beginning?
That's 259.5 currently. He's just over 6'1", Teddy. So what's the mark if you were training him?
You know, he turned pro, you know, at 258. In his 6th, 7th, and 8th fight, he was down between 247 and 246. Then he went up again. And, you know, he's up now. This is his coming out party in the United States. First time that people have gotten to see him over here. He comes in the heaviest of his career. One of the things that sometimes people are a little bit down on about Cuban heavyweights when they defect and when they hit these shores is that they come here with great credentials, great amateur background, great talent. But sometimes it's almost like they get the golden crown just by getting on these shores. They lose some of the discipline that they had when they were in their native country that made them the best amateurs in the world. They start to deteriorate a little bit in the work ethic program. And I think that that's something that Solis' people are going to have to pay attention to.
Oh, there's a wide right hand that looped in after an uppercut, and now Burnett is clearly hurt as Solis is just bringing it time and time again halfway through this 3rd round. Right hand to the body, up top with a right hand that lands.
And right now, it reminds me of Tommy Hearns years ago, and I wonder right now if Bernard is thinking the same thing. There was a fight where Tommy Hearns didn't know how to hold on. And right now, Burnett would be well served if he knew how to hold on a little bit.
Instead, he stands opposite him. And now Solis with a moment after exerting so much effort. And let's look at the punch track numbers, and you can see Solis with that output just moments ago is up to 55 thrown, still 40 seconds to go.
And again, Joe, some things stay the same. And you go back to that videotape clip we showed, it was so dramatic, where Burnett got dropped seconds before the bell, or at the bell, in his fight against Horace Grant 6.5 months ago. He got caught with a right hand from throwing the jab from too close. He has not learned his lesson completely. He jabs from too close. And when you jab from too close, you're in the shorter man's range for a right-hand counter.
Now Solis, the look of a fighter who punched himself out after putting forth that offensive surge. But he got the best of Burnett here in the third.
Dad? It's time. You'd be a really nice catch for somebody. Please?
Just for Men takes 5 easy minutes, targets only the gray hair, and can start something great.
Yes!
Just for Men.
The hotter the hot, the colder the cold, the greater the demand, the more you need Duralast. Batteries built to exceed the need. Only at AutoZone.
Inventors. InventHelp can help you try to patent your idea and submit it to companies. Call 1-800-321-0777 for free information. That's 1-800-321-0777.
And then come right back with a straight right hand. Or jab and hook off
Take
it.
a look at that spot in the last round that caused Burnett. That round almost cost him the fight. Gets caught in the first right hand. He covers up. Some of them being blocked. Some of them going around the gloves. He finally moves his head instead of just covering up. But most importantly, Solis runs out of gas a little bit.
Round number 4, our heavyweight co-feature here. You just got a good look at Oblanir Solis, the 2004 Olympic heavyweight gold medalist. And let's bring in the future Hall of Famer and new ESPN boxing analyst, Bernard Hopkins. Bernard, when you get your first glance at Solis, your reaction is what?
Well, first I seen that he had the guy hurt, he had him in trouble, but he didn't go to the body. There was some opportunities where he could have just banged to the body. He went, reckless up top. He threw a lot of punches, and, Kevin didn't go anywhere. He took a breather, and, Kevin didn't capitalize on that. So I think that Solis will learn it's just a process. You get a guy hurt, you kill a body, the head and the hands will fall. And I think that that's the little inexperience that he will, soon get to know as he go on in his pro career.
Bernard, do you think that that's more of him not having been taught that? Usually the Cubans are pretty well taught in fundamentals that he hasn't been taught to go to the body, because we all know when you hurt a guy, you should go downstairs. You're going to try to survive. Goes downstairs where the body's not moving, where you can catch him, you can stun him a little. Do you think it's that, or do you think it's just a matter of Solis looking to please the television audience and get a knockout?
I think that the pressure is on him too. He's a heavyweight, and we know where the heavyweight division is at right now, the state of the heavyweights. I think he got excited. That's part of, I believe, being a young fighter coming out of the Olympics. You want to do so good, and sometimes you get carried away. But I think hearing your comments and hearing my comments after this fight's over with, providing he wins, that he will understand that the body is important, especially when you get a guy hurt. So I think there's a little bit of inexperience, and I also think there's a little bit of being too anxious to look good and get a knockout.
All right, good stuff from B-Hop, and we'll have much more with Bernard all night long. And welcome to the team, Bernard Hopkins will be with us throughout this 2009 season of Friday Night Fights. Solis, 3 straight left hands finding the target. And now back to the jab for big Kevin Burnett. Last year, he had that very unique ending that we showed you when he was knocked down on the final bell and had to get up to survive and hold on for a win.
All tall men, and Burnett is tall. About 6'6". He has a Solis in front of him who's about 6'2". All tall men should probably go and take a little bit of a crash course in real estate lessons, so they could learn that all-important lesson of location, location, location. If you're tall, you got to stand on the outside, but not doing enough of it.
With GameFly, you can get 6,000 of the hottest new and classic games delivered right to your door. GameFly.com. Over 6,000 titles, no late fees. Start now for only $6.95. Limited time offer. Product shown rated E through M.
Hi, Papa John here with a free dessert to celebrate our 25th anniversary. It's our gift to you for choosing Papa John's quality for the last 25 years.
Call or click papajohns.com now. Ask for the 25th anniversary sweet deal and get an order of chocolate pastry delights free with the purchase of a large one-topping pizza for only $11.99. Free dessert from Papa John's. Now that's something to celebrate.
25 years of better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Friday Night Fights season debut here in Primm, Nevada. And what a night to get a good look at some of the stars from the Cuban Olympic teams of the recent past. We have 2 gold medalists in action, and the gentleman in the blue right now is the unbeaten 12-0 Olanir Solis, the heavyweight gold medalist from 2004. He threw 56 punches in the first round, Teddy, but he hasn't come close since. In that last round, the 4th round, he only threw 34 punches. Back to the jab for Kevin Burnett, the 4-year pro from Augusta, Georgia. One of 2 sets of twins. In fact, he dropped out of high school to help his family by working, single mom. So he went and got 2 jobs to make ends meet, and now a committed pro training in Miami. With veteran trainer Pat Burns just got caught with that little up jab, the left hand. Doubled it up, did Solis, the gold medalist.
La cabeza.
Solis with a right hand to the body. Both men open up with right hands. Burnett follows up with 2 body punches.
Kevin, combination, son.
Again, Burnett, a reason why he gets caught that left hook and gets shaken a little bit. We understand the left hand landed, but why did it land? Burnett gave up his height and walked into the range of Solis.
There's another left hook that hit Burnett.
Again, there's spots where Burnett fights in the wrong place. He fights in close with the shorter man. And he doesn't always pay a price, but there's always a chance that he will pay a price when he's fighting in the wrong location, in the wrong place.
3-punch combination. Burnett tries to answer back. And now right on the inside with the gold medalist. There's that left hook again from Solis.
You know, Burnett's concentrating on trying to keep his range, use that jab. He might want to start looking for a right uppercut. Looks like Solis could be vulnerable a little bit up the middle to that punch.
Solis charges in to end the 5th in our heavyweight co-feature. Our main event is still to come. And simply stated, one of the most exciting fighters in all of boxing will be coming your way. Yuriorkis Gamboa, the gold medalist, the power puncher. He fights with reckless aggression. And he will be coming up against Roger Gonzalez in our main event. Take a closer look at the timeline of Yuriorkis Gamboa. Won the flyweight division at 112, now fights at 126, taking the gold medal. Solis and Ian Bartholomew joined him in their flee for freedom back in June 2006. They went to Germany, now made their way stateside. In his pro career, well, it's been dynamite. 12-0, 10 knockouts, a real risk-reward fighter. And that was showcased in his most recent fight when he went down in the first round before knocking out the previously unbeaten Marcos Ramirez. So that is coming up. Gamboa in the main event against Roger Gonzalez. You do not want to miss a moment of Yuriorkis Gamboa. He can bring it. Round number 6 now of our heavyweight action. Burnett and Solis halfway through the fight. Solis averaging 17 connects a round. Burnett just over 12.
bad news for Burnett is he's been stunned in moments. There's even been dominating moments for Solis. But the good news for Burnett is Solis is not consistent offensively. He gives you time to recover.
He does have those lulls, doesn't he?
Yeah, but if you were a race car driver, you'd say that he goes into the pit and gives you a chance to kind of refuel a little bit, change those tires.
Just took a little sidestep angle and then landed the left hand to the body. Now let's look at Teddy's scorecard as it stands at the halfway point. 49-46, Solis 4 rounds to 1. His best round was the third round where he had staggered Burnett back. And now he tries to unload with a big sweeping right hand here in round 6.
Now you see those moves that Solis just demonstrated a moment ago. That tells me a couple things. One, it tells me that he's smart. He's looking to get an angle on the side where he can get a cleaner shot than he's getting in front, with Burnett covering up pretty well. It also tells me that Solis is very comfortable, very confident to try that right now. Right now, Solis really has no worries in his mind about Burnett.
There's that left hand again after Burnett threw the right.
Put your head like a baseline.
And again, Burnett in close with the shorter man where I don't think he belongs. But I mentioned in the last round that Burnett, I think he's getting to the point where he needs to land something telling, if not a knockdown, something that will really shake up Solis, start to turn the rhythm of this fight that has to be turned right now, because we're at the halfway point and Burnett is getting perilously close to that point of no return on the scorecards. And I think that punch could be a right uppercut again for Burnett. Just look at the way Solis covers and he leans forward just a tiny bit.
There's an example of it right there as he covers up and leans forward. He's already the shorter man, so the uppercut could play into that. So we will look for what Teddy said could potentially be the telling punch that Burnett needs, the right uppercut. We come to the end of 6, scheduled for 10.
Hey, football fans, now's the time to try ESPN MVP. Text trial to 7280 and manage your fantasy teams, watch live GameCast, and get exclusive commentary as part of your trial. Only on VCast from Verizon Wireless.
Did you know 1 in 3 men will face prostate issues?
1 in 3, really?
That's why One A Day Men's is a complete multivitamin with selenium, which emerging research suggests can help prostate health. One A Day Men's.
It's an all-out flavor blitz with KFC Honey Barbecue Wings. We take our famous sauceless hot wings that are marinated in peppers and coated in seasoning, then glaze them in honey barbecue for 3 layers of flavor. Get 7 for $3.99 or grab a bucket of 20. Add a 32-ounce drink for a chance to win a trip to Super Bowl 44.
I was talking before about how Solis catches your shot, but he lets you recover. Here's a good example of it. You see one shot, sometimes 2 shots. There's the one shot, but usually nothing behind it, and that allows Burnett to stay in the fight. He's behind in the fight, but by not putting them together, Solis allowing Burnett to hang around.
His debut in the United States with 12-0, recent Olympic heavyweight gold medalist from the 04 games, moved to Miami, where he trains alongside his fellow countrymen and amateur stars. We will see one of them coming up in our main event. Mayorkas Gamboa, great power puncher, very exciting fighter. For now, let's bring in the trainer of Kevin Burnett, Pat Burns. Pat, what is the answer at this point of the fight?
Well, we're in trouble, obviously. Kevin hasn't thrown enough combinations. If he doesn't show me he got a chance to knock him out, I'm not going to let this fight go too much longer. There's no sense of getting the kid hurt. This other kid's not a big puncher, but just through the attrition and the number of punches the other kid is throwing, you can get anybody out.
Pat, you're considering stopping this fight. I mean, what would you need to see to make that decision here?
Well, if he has another round like he did the last round where he's not fighting back, then that would be it. He's a young fighter, and he just got to get a little more busy too. He's got a lot of heart, but it takes more than heart,
Pat, I'm sure your first plan, your plan A, we always have a plan A and a plan B. Your plan A was for your guy being a taller man to stay on the outside and use that jab and control range a little bit.
Yes, it is.
Now that you've fallen behind and it's time for plan B, you got to land a big punch to turn this around. Would you be thinking about a right uppercut? Because to me, it's looking like Solis might be vulnerable, leaning a little bit, maybe to a right uppercut behind that jab.
We've asked him for the uppercut 2 or 3 times. As you know, Mike McCullen's in here in the corner with me, and we've been talking about it. We've asked him for it, and yeah, we definitely want him to throw it because it is a good punch for Kevin, and Solis is laying his head right out there. See, there's some opportunities right there. See the rotation? He could throw that uppercut, and he's got to pull the trigger. We've asked him to do it. He's got to pull the trigger.
Thanks for your time, Pat. I'll let you get back to work. Pat Burns, trainer of Kevin Burnett, who trained Jermaine Taylor to his world title conquests in recent years. And you see the punch track numbers, and Solis landing 39% of his 287 total punches. Burnett a lower percentage, most of his work with the jab.
Again, you see the good and the bad of Solis. You saw the spots where he was a little bit explosive, but now you're seeing the moments where he's a little lazy. And again, you wonder if that's his temperament, if that's his style, or if that is a product of him not being in the best of shape. Once again, Solis came in the heaviest of his career.
With 3 rounds to go with the heavyweight gold medalist.
Hey, Snowball's phone. Snowball doesn't have AT&T, so no bars out here at the Winter Cottage. So we didn't get your call warning us about the heat wave that's coming right about now. You know, the one that's going to turn me into a big puddle of buttons and carrot sticks. Well, thanks for stacking me high and tight, kids. See you next year. Okay, kids?
Switch to the network with the best coverage, AT&T. More bars in more places. Now get 50% off all LG phones.
Get a free dessert to celebrate Papa John's 25th anniversary. Get the 25th anniversary sweet deal and receive an order of chocolate pastry delights free with the purchase of a large one-topping pizza for only $11.99.
25 years of better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Joe and Teddy with you on the season debut of Friday Night Fights. Glad you're with us, and we encourage you to tune in tomorrow for great action at college basketball. Doubleheader on ESPN at noon Eastern. Number 21 and number 17 going at it. Louisville and Villanova. Then an ACC showdown with the Duke Blue Devils taking on Florida State men's college basketball, presented by 5 Hour Energy on ESPN tomorrow. Old Lanier Solis in the blue trunks. He could use a little 10-round energy. There have been lulls with the Olympic gold medalist. He has showed us the skill. He has showed us glimpses of being on the attack, as he did in the 3rd round and a few moments in the middle of this fight. But a much anticipated U.S. debut here against Kevin Burnett. Not all straight A's for Solis.
You know, we talked about the corner of Burnett. He has a good team with Pat Burns and also with manager Craig Hamilton. 2 good people to look out for a fighter. Solis has a good team behind him too. Promoter Ahmed Ona, who I think does a good job, and Louis DeCubas, who understands the business, understands how to bring along fighters.
Both Solis and Gamboa promotionally are represented by owner and Arena Box Promotions, a German-based promotion company. As you see Solis scoring on the combination.
The spots now, the spots we talked about, and you're going to see this spot for about 30 seconds.
There's a right hand, and here comes a little thunder right up the middle from Solis. And keep in mind what Pat Burns said to us recently when he said, I may look for a spot to stop this if I don't like what I see out of Burnett.
We have a water. I've done this for 2 years, I know. Do it again, Kevin!
There was that uppercut on the inside from Burnett.
Keep your left hand up by your ear, throw it!
Time, go over there, go over there.
And now referee Jay Nady will take the time to replace
quickly, please,
the mouthpiece. As you see Pat Burns.
Time in.
Of course, trainers not always in a hurry to put the mouthpiece in when their fighter's been stunned. There's a left hook from Solis, and wobbly waves on the 6'6" Kevin Burnett. The big tree could be going down, and it's waved off. Jay Nady says this fight is over, and look at Burnett. He is still on shaky ground.
I know. Sit down.
Hey, you gotta get out. You gotta get out. You gotta get out. You gotta get out.
You know, I talked earlier, Joe, about tall fighters needing to maybe go and take a little lesson from a real estate broker about location. And that was the case right there. Burnett got into the wrong location once again. He got in too close to the shorter man, and he caught a left hook for his troubles.
Solis landing 27 punches just a couple minutes into that 8th round. And he finished off Kevin Burnett.
It's all right.
Second loss in the career for Burnett. 13-0 now for Solis.
And again, watch the location. The taller man in close, and he gets hit a left hook that staggers him backwards. A right hand comes behind it, and another left hook, and the referee does the right thing. Watch again. First of all, watch where they are. The taller man in close, where he can get hit with that left hook. That starts the problem, as you said. The right hand continues the problem. Another left hook, a right hand, and the referee is forced to step in.
And the reaction from Pat Burns, he was quick to run right up there. He said, hey, I got a young guy who's learning on the job, and he was getting a sense when we talked to him in that 7th round, Pat Burns was getting a sense that this was just a little too much for Kevin Burnett. And that left hook of that man right there, Solis, came crashing home, leading the way to victory. And for the official particulars, we send it up to Mike Hart.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Jay Nady calls a stop to the bout. 2 minutes into round number 8. Your winner by TKO, and still the WBC International Heavyweight Champion and new WBA Featherweight Heavyweight Champion, Odlanier Solis.
Teddy, can Solis grow into the heavyweight that many are hoping he could be?
First of all, he's got to get his weight down. He has to get more serious about his physical conditioning. And then I would say with the landscape out there, a very, very barren landscape, I would say he can become a player with the right fights, the right experience, the right development, and getting himself more serious to his commitment.
Well, he traveled 16 hours in South America to find a border to freedom, to flee Cuba, and he did so with his teammate, Yuriorkis Gamboa. And coming up next, it'll be the feared power puncher in the main event. Gamboa against Roger Gonzalez, set to come your way. Always exciting, brings it each and every time. But first, B-Hop and BK.
All right, Joe, thank you. Bernard, what would Solis have to do to get to the next level and get closer to the elite in the heavyweight division?
Well, one thing is, I agree with Teddy. He has to work on his conditioning and get his weight down, where he can, he can have the endurance. He can do more. He can work the body more. He can have more energy earlier. But one thing I was impressed with, he tried to hit him with the left hook. He tried to hit Kevin Burnett with the left hook all through the fight. And when he hit more than one punch behind that left hook, 2 or 3 punches, that's when the fight was stopped. And so as time went on, he added more punches to just throwing a left hook and trying to knock him out.
Well, it is time for our main event. And it would be a shock to those in the know if one day Yuriorkis Gamboa isn't fighting for a world title. But right now he has to be careful not to be shocked with an upset loss as he faces Roger Gonzalez. Anticipation building as this man makes his final preparations. Gamboa has created a buzz by way of one thing that always gets everybody's attention in this sport: pure power. An electrifying offensive performer with a story that captures our attention just as well.
My childhood in Cuba was not the same as someone's childhood would be here. You live a very humble life there. In other words, I didn't have the same opportunities that a kid might have in a more developed country. During my childhood, I was solely involved in sports. In my case, it was boxing because my father was a boxer, and he instilled it in me from an early age.
That early interest paid off at the 2004 Summer Olympics in Athens, when Gamboa continued the great Cuban boxing tradition of winning gold.
That was my biggest feat as an athlete to date. I achieved Olympic glory in that final. I will never forget that. Never. I fought against Jerome Thomas of France. He was the reigning world champion and had been runner-up as well. That win really put me on the map.
For most Cuban amateur champs, the Olympics are the pinnacle of their careers. Uriorkis was determined for that not to be his fate.
There were many reasons that made me decide to leave the Cuban boxing squad. One of the reasons that made me want to leave was because they did not treat us like the Olympic champions we were. We weren't even given the comforts and resources that we deserved. To be honest with you, I was fed up.
Secretly in contact with Miami attorney Antonio Gonzalez since the summer of '06, Gamboa made his move months later while training in Venezuela with the Cuban team.
I'll never forget it. It was like the 22nd of December. I was at my Christmas office party, my law firm's office party, and I get the phone call. He's like, look, I deserted the training camp. I deserted the team hotel. I'm with two other friends of mine that are also on the team, and they also want to make the decision to leave. And there's something that always hits me. He goes, now I'm in your hands. And I took that to heart. When he told me that, I was like, wow, this is real. This is something I got to do.
In order to defect, Gamboa, along with two fellow Cuban boxing gold medalists, crossed the border into Colombia. 3 months later, they were finally granted entry into the U.S. And at a Miami press conference, they announced their signing with a German boxing promoter.
Whole Gamboa is a package special. How he looks, how he fights. Sometimes if I watch him, he remember me on small Mike Tyson.
Is he one of the most exciting young fighters in the sport? Undoubtedly.
His eyes, how he's behaving, I don't know how to explain, and he's very special.
Tonight, that special fighter will take on Roger Gonzalez, who has a 27-2 record, 30 years old. Seemed to have a bit of trouble making 127 pounds. He's fought a good part of his career at bantamweight, then he had a long layoff in recent fights just north of the featherweight limit. This is fourth fight of a comeback. Last one we saw was a thriller against Cornelius Locke. He was KO'd in the 10th. And now the calm before the storm here in Prim, Nevada. Uriorkis Gamboa, an Olympic gold medalist, a four-time Cuban national amateur champ. His sixth fight in the United States, and gathering so much momentum as a dominating power puncher and electrifying performer. He is already ranked among all the Alphabet Soup organizations. And the expectation tonight is once again he will shine bright in the desert. Coming off a second-round KO of previously unbeaten Marcos Ramirez, also floored in that first round. A punch that he says also included a follow-through elbow. A perfect 12-0 with 10 knockouts. A four-time Cuban national champ. Gold in 2 internationals, Pan Am gold, Olympic gold, 230 amateur wins. Gamboa has arrived, ready to do his thing. And after a 4-month rest, the creative energies of Teddy Atlas and our Saul Avalar ready to let loose with the latest installment of the Fight Plan, sponsored by AutoZone.
It's a new year, and Uriorkis Gamboa figures by the end of 2009, He'll have his hand held high and a crown on top of his head. Why wouldn't you have that kind of confidence if you were Gamboa, that you're going to be the next featherweight champ of the world? After all, every time he steps in the ring, he brings plenty of firepower. What's this, Butch Cassidy?
Howdy, partner.
Well, he does have plenty of ammo, Gamboa, but you're not playing Gamboa. I'm going to play Gamboa. You're going to play Gonzalez. So keep those weapons in your holster. Put your hands up. I noticed that Gonzalez, when you throw at him, he either pulls back or he covers up. He puts those earmuffs on. That is a really bad flaw when you're fighting somebody with the 6-shooters that we just talked about that Gamboa has. Because when he sees that, he'll put his punches together, bang, finish with his favorite punch, the uppercut, right up the middle. And when the smoke clears and the shooting is done, only one man's going to be standing. That is going to be Gamboa. We've established that Gamboa has the heavy artillery. So how can Gonzalez win? Become a marksman, a sniper, land the perfect shot. Or, in boxing terms, timing beats speed. Gamboa the faster guy, but he gives you plenty of opportunities to catch him. If I'm Gonzalez, who I'm going to play right now, I'm telling him, set your feet and allow Gamboa to do some of your work for you. In other words, just wait for Gamboa as he gets reckless with his hands down and he likes to jump in with those quick punches. When he does that, bang, bang, time him. If Gonzalez can do that, he's the one leaving the ring with his boots on and his hand raised with a big upset.
What an upset that would be.
What to expect, right?
Another great reception in front of this crowd filled with so many Cuban fans. They've seen Eroslande Lara win by TKO. They saw the heavyweight gold medalist Solis win by TKO. And now Gamboa's turn.
Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Let's do it.
Robert Byrd, a referee, as they are scheduled for 10 rounds here, featherweight action. And let's look at the ring experience between these two. Gonzalez has had a solid career, West Coast-based fighter. Obviously, Gamboa's experience in that great amateur pedigree. And then the quick bursts of offense as a young emerging pro. Round one.
I'm making a New Year prediction, if you don't mind. Gamboa is scoring a knockout in the third round.
Third round. Right on. Teddy, mark it down. Third round, says Mr. Atlas.
Now we just have to get past 2. Well, Gonzalez has been knocked out in both of his losses. And he was knocked out in his last fight. That is a bad way mentally to go into any fight, especially a fight with a pure talent like the undefeated Gamboa.
That was a pretty good fight, his last fight. Very entertaining fight against Cornelius Locke for Speedy Gonzalez, who's in the green camouflage trunks. He was TKO'd in the 10th round by Locke, but it was a good fight. In fact, Gonzalez was leading on one scorecard. The other two were tied up at the time of the KO.
A lot of problems for Gonzalez. One of them is, actually, he's a smaller man here. This is a man, Gonzalez, who has fought at 111 pounds. He's been 118 pounds or less 14 times. Most of his fights, Joe, have been at bantamweight. And Gamboa, he's been as heavy as 133. He's never been below 125. So, really, you have a bantamweight versus a guy that's probably a junior lightweight in Gamboa, even though tonight he comes in at the featherweight limit.
Those in the camp of Gamboa have said they want to see a little more patience, a little more defense, settle into the fight, and then go after it. We've seen him at times where he goes after it right from the start.
But right now, Gamboa is showing a little bit maturity, a little bit of seasoning, settling down a little bit. He's trying to set up Gonzalez. You can see he's using that left hand to set up a right hand, looking to go downstairs to the body and then bring it upstairs with those quick hands.
Little taste of the hand speed there as Gonzalez was up against the near ropes. Gamboa is trained by Ismael Salas. His second fight with Gamboa. He was a local trainer in the hometown of Gamboa. trained many fighters on the Cuban national team, left Cuba, went to Pakistan, and then went to Thailand for the last 15 years, where he trained pros there in Asia to 6 world titles, and now reunited with his fellow countrymen here in the States.
You know, there's more ways than one to skin a cat. There's more ways than one to throw a jab. Right now, Gamboa not throwing a real attacking jab, not a stiff, jolting jab, just a flash jab to set up the other artillery.
Good combination, and included a body shot from Gamboa. Coming to the end of round 1, Gonzalez and Gamboa.
25 years ago, when I started making pizzas, everything was pretty low tech. Just a mixer and oven and some extra space and a broom closet. Now you can order online. It just keeps getting better.
To celebrate Papa John's 25th anniversary, get a medium cheese pizza for just 25 cents when you buy a large 3-topping pizza, only when you order online.
25 years of better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
For a limited time, get a medium cheese pizza for just 25 cents, only at papajohns.com.
The holidays come but once a year. So this year, give your family the gift that has it all. The HP TouchSmart PC. Touch the future now for as little as $1299.99. Or get a new HP Pavilion DV5T with Intel Centrino 2 processor technology for just $649.99. Call 1-800-BUY-MY-HP or go to hp.com/magic or visit a retailer.
Joe and Teddy with you ringside. Friday night fights in Primm, Nevada. Yuriorkis Gamboa, the Olympic gold medalist. Now his 6th fight in the United States after turning pro in Germany. In that first round against Gonzalez, he was 10 of 39.
You see what just happened there, Joe, and Bernard could relate to this. It's something that's not caught usually to the eye immediately.
Oh! A big shot from Gonzalez!
He got timed. He got timed. Again, we talked about the recklessness of Gamboa. You saw it.
Hey, let's go. Roger Gonzalez let loose a perfectly timed shot, and he scores a knockdown, and he's got a lot of time to work with here. Gamboa now looks a little sturdier on his feet as he goes on the attack himself.
Well, let's remember now, nothing that's foreign to Gamboa. This is the 4th time in his pro career he's been on the floor. He's on the floor 2 of his last 3 fights going into this fight. So he's familiar with this, and he's won before after he's been on the floor. So it's not like another fighter who says, oh, how am I going to be now? He knows he can be okay. That's very important to the psyche of a fighter getting his backside off the floor.
It happened in his last fight, and he scored a knockout victory in the very next round.
So again, it's why it happens, not that it happens. And that's what the people of Gamboa are going to have to correct if he's going to continue to march up that boxing ladder. He drops his hands, he gets reckless with that speed, and he throws from too far away, and he's open to timed shots. Gonzalez set his feet. He allowed Gamboa to do his work for him. He did that. He did it again. He timed him with the left hook as Gamboa came in.
It was the one thing Gonzalez told us yesterday that he liked about this matchup. The defensive flaws of Gamboa. This is not what he would like. The offensive strafing attack upstairs.
But that's what you like, though. If you're Gonzalez's corner, that he tied up Gamboa and did not let him continue that offensive flow. That you like.
Smothered that fire, did Gonzalez. What an interesting round here early on in our main event.
It's not always about the swiftest, the fastest. It's about the smartest. We were talking to Bernard. I was talking to him about that earlier. And that's something that's allowed him to win world titles. Sometimes someone is quicker. He is more talented than you. But you can use other things to even the playing field. Even give yourself an edge. Right now in this round, Gonzalez has done that.
Teddy's fight plan, the statement on Gonzalez is that timing beats speed. Perfectly timed for Gonzalez, scoring the knockdown here in round 2. We'll show you the replay when we return.
An ordinary onion, born from fertile soil, but raised on anger, Spicy farming techniques.
Hot enough for you?
And tough love.
Get angry, onion.
Waiting for harvest. Waiting for vengeance.
Hot! Hot!
Angry onions, jalapenos, and pepper jack cheese make the Angry Whopper bite you back.
Let's take a look at this knockdown scored by Gonzalez in the last round. You see the hands down of Gamboa? I incorrectly said that it was a left hook he timed it with. It was a right hand. Take another look. The right hand over that low left hand of Gamboa. Gonzalez steps in. Take another look. He controls range. He steps in, and he actually beats the faster Gamboa to the mark.
One of the hottest prospects in the sport. Unbeaten and so exciting, but flawed. As we said right from the start of this evening, he is a flawed fighter in that one department, and it makes for exciting action. Remember, went down in his last fight, very next round, scored a knockout win. Round number 3, Teddy, you said this would be the round that he wins in.
And if he does, it will be with an opportunity with that uppercut, perhaps, when Gonzalez puts those earmuffs on and covers up and doesn't move his head. An opportunity for that punch to split the guard.
To that point, Gonzalez landed only 2 punches after scoring that knockdown in that last round. Gamboa, there's the uppercut splitting the guard.
And it will be there again, because that habit of Gonzalez just covering up and not moving his head was established in the gym, not just here. It's not going away here. It's going to stay here tonight. And the opportunity for that uppercut is going to stay here for Gamboa. What Gamboa has to do is when he sees he lands that right uppercut, he has to put the left hook on top of it. Again, when you're not the more talented kind, it's kind of like war. When you don't have as many infantrymen, when you don't have as many airplanes, as many ships, as many tanks, you have to fight a very strategic fight and know where to call your fights, where to call your battles, where to have them, and when to have them. That's what Gonzalez is trying to do by controlling range right now, Joe. He's trying to dictate when and where to have these little battles. On his terms. On his turf.
Seasoned veteran of 12 years as a pro is Gonzalez. Let's look at the punch track numbers as we're here in the final minute of round 3. This is in this round here. Gamboa's thrown off 43 to Gonzalez's 17.
Again, you see Gonzalez turning southpaw, trying to use any trick he can. But mostly he's using his legs to change range, to change distance. Again, not to give Gamboa, the more talented man, nobody would argue that, not to give him the turf he needs to use that talent. Trying to keep him more balanced. And right now, Gonzalez, quite honestly, concentrating on surviving and looking for little spots, as he did right there.
Gamboa charging in. There is a right hand as Gonzalez was going back, as Gamboa tries to come on the attack in the final moments of round 3 of our main event.
Lindsey Vaughn takes the lead. Earlier, she was suffering from an all-over achy cold. She stays tough. How does she do it? What is that? I think we've discovered her advantage. Speedy Alka-Seltzer.
New and improved Alka-Seltzer Plus. Specially formulated now with more pain-relieving power. Rushes cold-fighting ingredients to relieve congestion, coughing, and all-over achiness. It's the official cold medicine of the U.S. ski team. Alka-Seltzer Plus. Also available in liquid gels.
Brian Kenny here, Sports Center right now. This game just ending. The Cavs have beaten the Celtics at the showdown in the Eastern Conference. Cavs the top team now. Boston has lost 4 in a row, and Cavs are 19-0 at home. LeBron over KG. Also, college football. A lot of top players declaring themselves eligible for the NFL draft coming up in April. Among them, Michael Crabtree, Texas Tech wide receiver, 2-time Biletnikoff Award winner. That's Sports Center right now. Let's go back to Joe and Teddy.
There's a Comparable comparison between the dynamic young Michael Crabtree and his pure raw athleticism and the athleticism of Yuriorkis Gamboa. But in the second round tonight, the defensive flaws got to him. A well-timed right hand by Gonzalez scored a knockdown, so Teddy's scorecard all tied up. But you can get a sense of momentum here now from the gold medalist. Round number 4.
Right now, Gonzalez trying to frustrate Gamboa, hoping by covering up well, blocking most of the shots. He's hoping that he can get the younger fighter to get a little frustrated, and then maybe a moment for Gonzalez to time him like he tried right there.
He just tried with that right hand, just off the mark. Now Gamboa digging in with a body shot in the left hand and that powerful right. Boy, thudding blows, very heavy-handed, fast hands from Gamboa.
Again, Gonzalez understanding what he has and what he doesn't have with his opponent here. Does not have the opportunity to just line up on the battlefield and say, okay, let's see whose guns are bigger. He already knows that. He's trying to stretch out that battlefield a little bit, using his legs, keep Gamboa from being set to use those big guns, and trying to cover up again and make sure nothing clean gets in, and then look for his moment.
Trying to get around that guard with the left hand. Gonzalez had that opportunity, Teddy, to time him again.
Yeah, well, Gonzalez has a couple problems here. One is he has to concentrate on defense because he has that in front of him, somebody with that kind of offense. So he's doing that. But he has to find a way to incorporate enough offense where he doesn't fall too far behind where he can't win this fight.
Final minute here of the 4th round, and Gamboa has outpunched Gonzalez 81-11. So you said, yeah, he's got to concentrate on defense because of what's opposite him, but he does have to throw.
If he wants to win and not just survive. And that's something that only the fighter knows how that sets in his mind. Only the fighter, Gonzalez, knows what he's intending to do.
There's a left to the body from Gonzalez. Very active round from Yuriorkis Gamboa.
Stop! Don't push.
Throwing over 100 punches.
Would you like to put a stop to your partner's snoring so you could go to sleep and stay asleep every night? Introducing Pure Sleep, the stop snoring solution. Common snoring is caused when the airway is constricted, causing the soft palate to vibrate. Pure Sleep is a patented self-molded mouthpiece cleared by the FDA, which holds the jaw slightly forward, opening the airway so that the snoring stops. Look at the difference in these before and after images.
That is just the astounding thing. I have not snored. And so this thing works. It's easy to use, easy to mold, works like a charm.
I'm sleeping through the night and so is he, and we're waking up with more energy and not waking up in the middle of the night to say shh.
If it doesn't work, we'll refund the purchase price, refund the original shipping charge, and even pay to ship it back. Try Pure Sleep risk-free.
Visit us at puresleep.com.
Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you ringside here in Primm, Nevada. Round 5, scheduled for 10. The power-punching Yuriorkis Gamboa went down in the 2nd round, but then has come on strong against the upset-minded Roger Gonzalez in the last 2 rounds. He's outthrown him 164-38. He's outlanded him, has Gamboa. 38 connects to 8.
Again, Gonzalez, smart enough to know his limitations and the strengths of his opponent. He's not looking to get into a shootout. But what he needs to do is take advantage of the moments, and there won't be many of them, but when they're there, he must strike.
That moment came in the second round with the right hand that was able to strike and put down Gamboa.
So if he strikes the wrong moment, he'll walk right into the teeth of this young lion, and he'll get swallowed. He has to try to get an opportunity where Gamboa does not expect him. Maybe when Gamboa steps back. Maybe when Gamboa flies forward and leaves himself a little bit open, like right there. Those are the moments where Gonzalez must be like a cobra. He must strike out. There are opportunities when Gamboa steps in with those punches. He will sometimes leave himself open if you punch with him. Gamboa sometimes reminds me, I've used this analogy before, Joe, of a young kid where you give him a sports car and he's only, 19, 20 years old. He probably shouldn't have a sports car. He doesn't understand the speed, doesn't respect the speed of it enough yet. And sometimes he goes a little too fast at the wrong times. He might even run a red light and, you're just afraid there's not a car coming or a policeman there when he does it. Well, that's kind of the case with Gamboa if you're in his corner. You're hoping there's not a punch there when he's running that red light.
Gonzalez just a little too reticent maybe to pull him over at this point in the fight. And Gamboa, you can see him feeling the confidence, play into the crowd for a moment.
But just watch closely, even though it's all Gamboa, because really Gonzalez is just concentrating on surviving right now, and not taking chances to maybe win the fight. But watch Gamboa. He will give you opportunities as he jumps in like that.
Oh, there's a prime one right there. Halfway through the main event.
College Hoops Conference play kicks into gear. First, Louisville meets Nova. Then, armed with a history of upsetting Duke, Florida State tries to pull off another one against the second-ranked Blue Devils. Tomorrow at noon and 2 on ESPN.
The ultimate one-on-one poker challenge is back. The most exclusive tournament of the year. 64 celebrities and poker pros playing for over $1 million. And it could include you. Win an incredible seat to the National Heads Up Poker Championship completely free. Exclusively at PokerStars.net, the world's largest poker site.
Maybe the corner of Gonzalez should come watch these replays here, Joe. These are the opportunities that you have to see if you're going to beat Gamboa. Watch. See, he jumps in with that left hook. He didn't pay a price, but the opportunity is there. An opportunity that Gonzalez must be aware of and must cash in on.
Roger Gonzalez. He felt confident that he would be able to overcome Gamboa. Teddy framed it well earlier, saying, well, timing can beat speed, and it did for a moment in the second round. But now he's averaging just over 4 connects a round, and Gamboa in control with the exception of that 10-8 round when he went down in the second. So 48-46 for the gold medalist.
I think sometimes fighters should watch movies before they get ready for an opponent. And if I had the responsibility of Gonzalez, you know the movie I would pick?
What would it be?
300. The movie of
very popular choice for a lot of athletes going into battle, right?
Yeah, I mean, and there again, you see Gonzalez, not the quicker guy, but at that time, he took advantage of an opportunity to step in and time Gamboa as he was just stepping out. But there's the speed again, and the spurts that can be dangerous from Gamboa. But in that movie, great Spartan warriors, there was only 300 of them. They were tremendously outnumbered. They knew they could not fight a conventional fight and have a chance to win, so they brought it in to a terrain where the numbers would not mean much. And that's what Gonzalez is trying to do.
So a dazzling offensive display moments ago for Bill, and Gonzalez did fire off a left hand in the midst there. So the rise of the 2004 Olympic gold medalists looking to continue here, 12-0 with 10 knockouts. So many of those knockouts early in his career have happened in such spectacular fashion. Gonzalez is trying to say, not me.
the reason why I thought that we'd have a chance and still have a chance of seeing a knockout, we almost saw it on the side that we didn't expect to see it when Gonzalez dropped Gamboa early on. But Gonzalez has been knocked out by a bantamweight. I talked about the weight difference earlier. And I figured if he's been knocked out by a bantamweight, what will happen when he gets caught? And he hasn't been caught clean yet by a man bigger like Gamboa and as talented as Gamboa.
Now that stoppage was back in 2004 to Johnny Gonzalez, who went on to win a world title.
If you go back 3 fights, Gonzalez was off for 2.5 years.
Strange circumstances surrounding the layoff of Roger Gonzalez from November 04 to April 07. He didn't fight in 05 and 06. Had promotional issues. Also broken ankle playing a pickup football game on Thanksgiving Day. Not the normal boxing injury.
Dad? It's time. You'd be a really nice catch for somebody. Please?
Just for Men takes 5 easy minutes, targets only the gray hair, and can start something great.
Yes!
Just for Men.
Out on the mountain, the seed of an idea takes root. Then it grows and evolves. And finally, you're ready to unleash it on the world.
See original works of sport at Winter X Games 13. Starts January 22nd on ESPN.
The snow may fall, but I don't mind at all, because you keep me winter warm. It's cold and wet, but I won't get upset. With you, I'm always winter warm.
Jeep is a proud sponsor of Winter X Games 13. Every day is an adventure. Jeep.
4 rounds to go in our main event. Many expected it to be over by now at this point because of the punching power and the skill set of Yuriorkis Gamboa, who's in the Cuban flag trunks, taking on Roger Speedy Gonzalez, who actually scored a knockdown early on, but since then it has been all Gamboa. Let's bring in our newest ESPN boxing analyst, Bernard Hopkins. And B-Hop, let me ask you this. If you were training Gamboa, what improvements would you want to make?
One is keep your hands up at all times. I mean, he's a little loosey-goosey with his hands. He got knocked down because of that, and he gives you opportunities to counter him and to, put some damage on him. So I think that I will work on his defense. I'll work on keeping his hands up and not getting too loose and not getting too relaxed in there, especially in close range where he can be countered.
Bernard, here's the $68,000 question. You would understand it. It's about the mental terrain of a fighter. Right now, is Gonzalez making a decision to just survive, or is he going to make a decision to try to win the fight? Because we know there's a difference here. If he's going to win the fight, he's going to have to take more offensive chances than he's doing. If he wants to just survive, he can do what he's doing.
And he's not doing that. I think that he's in a survival mode, and he's trying to pick his spots. He's trying to catch Gamboa in between throwing punches. So I think Gonzalez in a survival mode, but he's looking for spots where he can try to counter the Olympian.
Bernard, fighters like any other people, they have to make choices at a quick moment. Have you been in a position where it's gone through your head, and I bet you it has, where it's gone through your head where you've been tempted with just looking to survive the fight, and then you had to remind yourself, hey, I got to get out of this place?
No, can't really understand.
All right, we'll check back in with Bernard Hopkins a little later on. Glad to have B-Hop on board for this new season of Friday Night Fights. You'll see Bernard throughout the year as our studio analyst. Gamboa, as Bernard said, goes hands down time and time again, but nothing coming back as he charged in, and Gonzalez just ties up, separated by Robert Byrd. And here comes Gamboa now. Gonzalez covering up, uppercut sneaks in, Gamboa on the attack. his face reddened.
Right now, Gonzalez needs more than just defense.
3 rounds to go when we return.
Thanks for picking me up. This is so cool. I remember Game 6 of the finals. You just took over the game, and everybody was like, wow. But I wasn't surprised at all, because you're the truth. Truth always comes through. Can I touch you?
ESPN, your NBA destination for games Wednesdays and Fridays.
Hi, Papa John here with a free dessert to celebrate our 25th anniversary. It's our gift to you for choosing Papa John's quality for the last 25 years.
Call or click papajohns.com now. Ask for the 25th anniversary sweet deal and get an order of chocolate pastry delights free with the purchase of a large one-topping pizza for only $11.99. Free dessert from Papa John's. Now that's something to celebrate.
25 years of better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Gamboa can be dominating in spurts. And here is one of those spurts. Now watch, a lot of these punches on the gloves, not really clean. It means a big round and another round for Gamboa, but it also means that Gonzalez survived another round.
Could this be the chapter in the book of Gamboa's night, where he gets rid of Gonzalez on the attack early on, maybe looking to do it? Robert Byrd told Gonzalez, you got to show me something here in this round.
Well, there's a little something tricky, and it's on the borderline of being dirty that Gamboa is doing, but he's smart. He's doing it when the referee cannot see it. He's taking the opposite hand of the side that the referee's on, and he's pulling the neck down of Gonzalez towards him so he can hit him with an uppercut, and Gonzalez cannot elude the uppercut. Watch him on the inside. Gamboa is calm enough and tricky enough to pull off that little bit of a tactic, a little bit of a ploy.
It holds the target in place so that he can knock it right off the tee.
Yeah, watch. He'll do it with the right hand, probably being that the referee is on the other side.
Stop. Watch your hands, both of you. Let's go.
You know, coming into this fight, Gonzalez, who's a smaller man moving up in weight, surprisingly came in to the weigh-in overweight. He had to lose a couple pounds before the weigh-in, and he was still a pound over, and they let it go. You wonder whether or not that problem with conditioning is starting also to show itself a little bit right now with Gonzalez.
Well, this will be that point, halfway through round number 8. There's an example again of where Gamboa opens up at times, but Gonzalez unable to cash in. It was early on when Gonzalez scored the knockdown in the second round. Since then, it's been all Yuriorkis Gamboa.
You know, I'd like to take a moment in the new year here, while Gamboa's taking a moment to size up Gonzalez, to say congratulations to Melvina Lathan, who has become the new New York State Athletic Commission chairperson. She's the first African-American female chairperson in that spot in New York. We need somebody strong in New York. We need a good commission in New York. So important to boxing. I'm sure she'll do a good job. Melvina Lathan, good luck.
She has dedicated so much of her life to the sport. And we've enjoyed working alongside her. And we wish her the best for such an important position in the sport there in New York.
You okay? You all right? Stop in. Okay, let's go.
There's a right hand again as they separated, and Gamboa did so with his hands down. And he comes right back in. End of 8.
College Hoops Conference play kicks into gear. First, Louisville meets Nova. Then, armed with a history of upsetting Duke, Florida State tries to pull off another one against the second-ranked Blue Devils. Tomorrow at noon and 2 on ESPN.
Beep! Happy holidays. Howard's phone. Howard doesn't have AT&T, which means no bars way out here. So he never got the call from his friend telling him to thaw the turkey before he deep fries it. Otherwise, it could, you know, explode. Yeah, we missed that call. I'm missing some beard.
Switch to the network with the best coverage, AT&T. More bars in more places. Now get 50% off all LG phones.
ESPN Friday Night Fights presented by Just for Men. Hair color knocks out the gray better than ever. And in part by Verizon Wireless. We're at Buffalo Bills here in Prim, Nevada, just south of Vegas. That is Roger Gonzalez trying to survive the offensive attack of Yuriorkis Gamboa, the gold medalist, one of the top prospects in the game. Teddy, in between rounds, this is the 9th round, 2 rounds to go. But the corner of Roger Gonzalez told him, all right, Roger, Speedy, this is the last round. We need you to go out there and throw punches. Was that a psychological move they were making there?
It was either that or a mistake. Sometimes cornermen, they shouldn't, but they can forget what round it is. But there is a chance that that was a psychological move because it's desperation time now, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what the trainer of Gonzalez was trying to do and trying to get some urgency into his fighter before it actually is the last round and the lights are out.
They've been asking him for output. They haven't seen it return from Gonzalez. So worried about defending himself against Gamboa. Look at the average punches thrown first 3 rounds compared to the last 5 as Gamboa has been on the gas pedal.
You know, you get into a certain kind of mode, a certain kind of track, and sometimes it's hard to get out of that mode. And what I mean by that kind of mindset is that going into this fight, Gonzalez knew he had a very talented, explosive fighter in front of him. And you wonder if the forefront of his mind, the concentration wasn't to survive, not to get knocked out. And now he can't get out of that.
Keep it clean. Yep.
There's a little frustration there from Gonzalez, and he's warned by the referee. No headbutting, no frustration, keep it clean.
Robert Byrd trying to clean things up there. Well, we are seeing a more aggressive Speedy Gonzalez here in this round. Maybe not the way they thought with the shoulder bumps and lifts a couple times. And the pushing around there is a warning from Byrd.
You know, fighters are no different than ordinary people under pressure. They sometimes give in to temptation, and the temptation with a fighter like Gamboa can be not to take a risk and to look to go rounds. And by the time you realize you have to get out of that, which maybe Gonzalez realizes now, it can be a little late in the game.
Gamboa lunging forward and connecting there. You know, Teddy, there's a part of me that wonders if Gonzalez actually bought into the fact that this is the last round.
I think he may have. I'd like to ask Bernard Hopkins a question. Maybe we'll get that answer from him. And I ask it out to him, and we can get it back later. Because Bernard, have you been in a fight with your great career where there's been times where the mind is played on you, where you've been tempted in a fight to say, hey, I'm just going to survive right now. I'm not going to think, you know, I'm just going to last. I'm going to go rounds. And you had to remind yourself, hey, I got to look to win this fight. I have to look to be aggressive now.
We will hear from Bernard Hopkins when we return. Last round coming your way on Friday Night Fights.
A great moment, but Frank wasn't in the picture. He was in the men's room going again. Another moment, but Bob really needed to go. These male urinary symptoms could be due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. But for many guys, prescription Flomax reduces their urinary symptoms due to BPH in 1 week. Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not a more serious condition like prostate cancer. Avoid driving or hazardous tasks for 12 hours after your first dose or increase in dose, as a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Common side effects are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Get the picture? Ask your doctor if Flomax is right for you. For many men, Flomax can make a difference in 1 week.
Did you know 1 in 3 men will face prostate issues?
1 in 3, really?
That's why One-A-Day Men's is a complete multivitamin with selenium, which emerging research suggests can help prostate health. One-A-Day Men's.
Well, there's Roger Gonzalez, and he just left the stool that Eric Brown, his trainer, put forth. This is the 10th and final round against Yuriorkis Gamboa. Remember last round when I said, hey, Eric Brown, the trainer, said, hey, we need you to go out there. This is the last round. And we said, well, that's probably a psychological move. It's really the 9th round. They just want some urgency. No, it was a flat-out mistake. They thought it was the last round. They didn't even have a stool ready when he came back after the 9th round.
That's exactly right.
Well, we promised you a B-Hop. Here's Bernard Hopkins.
Hey, Bernard, you have an answer to my question there? My question to you, I don't know if you heard it during the action in the last round, but, you know, fighters are tempted. They're under pressure, and sometimes they have to force themselves to remember the decision they got to make. Have you been in a situation in a fight in your great career where you were thinking about just lasting the round and surviving a little, and you had to remind yourself that you had to get on the attack and you had to get out of that a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. 1994, Segundo Mercado in Quito, Ecuador. Been knocked down twice early in that fight. I came back and somehow squeaked out a decision, not a decision, a draw in that fight. And yeah, I mean, but that whisper, you know, will be there when you get in that situation. But at the end, you realize why you're here, you realize what you want, and that's a world championship or to win the fight. And you sort of like, you know, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you bite down on that mouthpiece and you put it out there.
Gamboa now coming forward, trying to chase down Roger Gonzalez.
That's the exact honest answer I would expect from the former world champion.
Can Gonzalez survive Gamboa? He can go the distance here, but full 10. Can Gamboa keep the string alive of highlight-like knockouts? Final minute. Sports Center will be coming up next. Right now, Gamboa, maybe one last surge to end up on a play of the day. Here he comes, going after it against Gonzalez.
The mouthpiece is out, and it's going to give him
That's
a little... Referee winds up stopping it. Referee had an opportunity there to go to the corner and allow Gonzalez to get his mouthpiece back, which it had been dislodged, but he decided not to.
Eddie, what did you think of that stoppage?
You know, we knew the answer to this fight. We knew what was going to be the finish. There was going to be one winner, but I think you give the fight an opportunity to get to the point that Gonzalez wasn't given that opportunity. The referee was a little quick there. I mean, he had seen a dominant performance by Gamboa. One guy was winning this fight, but Gonzalez wasn't in any great damage there, any great trouble. The mouthpiece came out. The referee could have went to the corner, replaced the mouthpiece, gave him a chance to recover, and then stayed real close. A little quick.
Robert Byrd made the decision that he had seen enough. It started to get to be a sloppy fight, and Gamboa was on the attack, but still, Gonzalez was 48 seconds away of saying he went the distance with Yuriorkis Gamboa. Let's watch the end of the fight again.
The right uppercut, you're going to see, we were talking about that, would be an important punch for Gamboa. There it is there. And there it is again. You saw the left hand. Maybe we can get a replay on that with people in the truck in a moment. But we talked about it earlier, Joe, how Gamboa would take the left hand and pull the head down, hold it in place, and then load up with the right uppercut. There's a moment earlier on in that replay where Gamboa takes his left hand, pulls Gonzalez by the back of the neck, and kind of lines him up with that right uppercut. Let's see if we can take a look at that, maybe.
Well, to the point that Gonzalez's corner made a mistake thinking the 9th round was actually the last and 10th round. He threw 31 punches in the 9th round, his high total in the fight. So not that much left for an effort in the 10th round as they had a rush themselves and prepare for one more dose of Yuriorkis Gamboa. And let's go back to that replay that Teddy was calling for.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a trick. It's on the borderline of, to be honest, it's a foul. But Gamboa, watch here.
Saw that sweeping left hook. Take another look here.
We'll take a look here.
Left hand landed well.
Well, not exactly the spot I was looking for, but you're going to have to trust me on that. There was a moment there where it looked to me like the head of Gonzalez was pulled back down by the left hand, and the right uppercut was set up by Gamboa. But either way, the fight belongs to the faster man, Gamboa.
Let's send it up to Mike Hart.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Robert Byrd calls a stop to this fight 2 minutes, 12 seconds into the 10th and final round. Your winner, and still undefeated, Yuriorkis El Ciclón Gamboa!
Gamboa now 13-0 with 11 knockouts. And we will have more Friday Night Fights when we return. Stay with us.